Good afternoon and welcome to a very windswept Warwickshire Stour. I've come down this little river today, well, with one thing in mind really, but that was to catch another big roach before the end of the season. However, the weather is conspiring against. It's supposed to be lovely and overcast today. As you can see, it isn't. However, it's about 2:30 now and I'm going to fish into dark. Now, I think this swim we had the roach from a few weeks ago is our best bet. If you've not seen that video, then I'll direct you up there to a link and it'll be down in the description as well. We caught a £1.11 roach out of there. Now the river looks relatively big here. There's a bit of a pool here. It's not this big, as you'll see further down the stretch. But I think what I'm going to do is trickle some bait in here, so I'll occupy myself for a couple of hours, do a little bit of chub fishing, and then we'll come and have dusk in here, see if we can't pick out, as I say, one of these lovely roach. Another reason for coming today is this river is dropping off. Another big flood. It's dropping down. Yesterday it was too high. Today it's a bit too low, to be honest. But as I say, we're fishing into dark, so who knows? There's still a bit of colour. We've got, I would say, 6 inches of visibility, something like that. I'd rather it was nearer 3 for roach, but you never know. You never know, as I say, we're fishing into dark. Now my approach is going to be the ledger. I've got my Dowett Power Mesh £1.25 test curve rod, 12 foot, and GSBR LT 3000 reel. I'll stick all the information down there on all the gear I'm using, lines, hooks, etc, etc. Bait wise, it's going to be bread. Got some bread for the hook. I've got some mashed bread to go in these tiny little Preston plug-it feeders. And this bread I've mashed up nice and stiff, not to put too much water in. If you want to know how I do this, again, I do get asked fairly regularly, so I'll stick a link up there for you in the description below, how I mash bread up to get different consistencies when I'm trotting, like it really runny. It's nice and stodgy today, and I've stodged that up a little bit extra by adding some condensed milk as well, so it's very stodgy and very sweet smelling. So that's it. I've got some worms as well, in case we fancy using worms, but I think that's probably enough waffle. I'm going to bait up in here, as I say, occupy myself for a couple of hours, fishing some other swims, and then we'll drop back in here at dusk. Right, we'll get a bit of bait in and we'll see what else we can find upstream, and downstream, what other swims are looking like. It actually looks very nice over there. There's this, let's just fit a bit of that in. There's a bit of a slack over there. The river comes in this way, runs around here. There's a bit of a slack over there and another little back eddy on the inside here, hence it being looking quite wide here. But it's just a cracking place. May well catch some chub over there as well. Put a little bit of bait on the inside here as well. Don't fish that too much. It's a bit snaggy down there, but worth a go. I'll spread it about a bit, just let the fish know there's some grub about. We're not going to be fishing it for at least a couple of hours, so give them time to have a bit of a feed up. God, this is very sticky. Right, I think that will do for now. As I say, we're going to have a wander off, perhaps downstream first, and see what we can find down there. In here, we've got a swim where we're on the inside of a bend, but the flow pushed to the far side as it comes around a corner, or a bend to our left. It's all been pushed over that far side, giving us a lovely slack in here, where I've had a couple of nice chub of late, so we'll get a little bit of bait in there. The reason areas like this are so good in general are obviously the fish like the current, they like the flow because it brings their food to them. However, they don't necessarily want to sit in that fast water, and certainly not where it's all boiling down here. They quite often just sit just off the flow, what we call the crease between the fast and the slow water, dip in and out of the faster water to collect anything that's coming past. So it's often a good place, and also of course you can get your bait to stick down here in this slack by baiting up and just leaving the swims to settle for a bit. But yeah, it's been a good swim that has recently, so we'll definitely have a crack there. A bit more of a classic chub swim here. As you can see, we've got a tree that's in the water. Bit of a snag next to it. Obviously there's going to be some tree roots down there. I know from experience it's a bit deeper in here. So we'll just put a bit of bait in there and just let it run through. I think it's steady enough that we can get the bait to the bottom. Certainly worth a go. I had some nice fish from here in the past, both on the float and the ledger. Swim in here, which is sort of opposite one we've just baited. We've got some fast water coming down here. We're on the outside of the bend this time, so all the water's under our feet, fast water, and there's a slack on that far side over there. So I'll chuck a bit of mash in over there, like that. Right, I think a couple of more, and then we'll have a crack. Right, I think first off I'm going to try 2 or 3 swims just along this run here, right at the bottom of the stretch, where I've either never fished before or fished perhaps once, like this swim. I did fish it once, perhaps, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Had a knock in here, but nothing else, just one knock. So there's clearly something down there, and there's a bit of slack below our feet in here, a bit of flow on the other side, sort of from halfway across. I definitely think this is worth another go. I was actually editing the video last night when I fished here, and I remember saying I need to go back here. So here we are, we're back. You can find some of these swims. You could probably do with a shorter rod, really. But some of the swims we'll need to get the rod really high in the air, so having a longer rod is then beneficial. And I can cope with having a long rod in these swims where you could do with a shorter one, but kind of doesn't work the same the other way around. If you need a long rod and you haven't got one, you're in trouble. Right, as I say, I'm not sure what's going to happen for a while, but we'll try and catch a few chub, and hopefully we can nick a nice roach out. It really was my motivation coming today. Right, we've not baited up in here, so we'll give this one perhaps 15 minutes. See if there's anything about. Fancies a bit of bread. This river's been dropping so quickly lately. Let's say yesterday it was a bit too high to fish. Today, it's a bit lower than I'd like. Whereas the arrow, which I'd like to have a go on and do a bit of trotting on, is in the time this one has dropped about a foot, the arrow has dropped a centimetre. I mean, obviously we're comparing apples and oranges, but I'd rather it is the other way around. Never mind, we'll see what we can catch. Make the most of the river season while it lasts. Glad we got this wind off our back. Blimey, it is blowing a gale. It's always really windy up here anyway. It's very open. It's it's really windy today. Could have gone to 1 or 2 different stretches, but I really did fancy coming up here and, like I say, just trying for a roach. If I'm honest, these first few swims we're going to fish, I'm not expecting anything to happen. More hopeful than expectant. And then we'll get onto the swims which we baited up that we're a bit more familiar with. Right, that's 10 minutes in there. I've not even had the merest sniff. So I think you see how slack it is. The mash is still in the feeder. Right, I think we'll move on. As I say, not even a sniff in there. So, swim number 4. And a few nibbles to show for our efforts so far. Right, rod up in here, because we've got to get the line out of the fast water and over into that slack over there. If there are any fish about in here, I would expect them to be over there in this swim because it's quite boily and turbulent down here. God, I seem to have grabbed the noisiest bag in the world. Right. Let's see if there's anyone about over there. Try up there first off. Lovely. A bit of depth up there. It's got an 1.5 on at the moment. Hopefully that'll hold. I think we should be alright. I think we'll know about it if we get a bite as well. Alright. I think that was a tap. Looked like the feeder moved, but it looked a bit more like a pull than the feeder just trundling. It is the feeder moving. No, it's not. It's a fish. I thought it was a feeder moving then. He had moved the feeder. Little chublet, I think. It is. He had moved the feeder. The feeder trundled a little bit, and I just thought it was a feeder moving. Well, we've got one in the net, just about. Very lively, freezing cold, otter-chewed. Little chublet, he's a lucky escape by the looks of it. A couple of claw marks there, and a very chewed tail. Well, he's had a bit of a free feed upon some mash. We'll stick him down there. Just see if there's anyone else holding up over there. It's weird. I thought it looked like the feeder was moving, but it also looked like a bit of a bite. A bit more than just the feeder trundling about. God, I'd like to do this water temperature because that fish is freezing cold. Right, let's try that again and hopefully catch his great-great-great-great-grandmother. Right, I think that's long enough in there. Nothing doing. Aside from this little fella, you see how slack it is over there. Look, mashed bread stain in the feeder. Though it is slowly dissolving, so it is coming out slowly, which is perfect really. I don't really want to feed these fish. I don't think they're going to be massively hungry. I just want to attract them into the area, the vicinity of the hook bait. Right, we'll get this otter-chewed fella back. Off you go. Right, next just a bit of a run down to a tree down there. There's a bit of depth in here. It's just a case of fishing out down towards that tree down there where we threw a bit of bait in earlier. Well, we threw it in up here to try and pull the fish out a little bit. I've caught in here in the past, so I know there's chub around in here. Fingers crossed there's some around today. We'll just flick this down to that tree. Not too close, because there's going to be a lot of roots in the water down there. And we'll just give it a flick out over there, that's it, beautiful. That's it. Right, see if anyone's around. Hunkered right down in this swim, it's nice, out of the wind. There we go, you had a tap already, look. Go on, go on. Has he got it? Rattle, rattle, rattle. I should have perhaps struck at that. I was waiting for it to properly develop. Yeah, I was waiting for that to properly pull round and it didn't. Alright, we've been mugged. Alright, perhaps not. round, didn't it? The swim's usually good for a bite. Certainly in these conditions. There's a reasonable fish as well. Trying to get in the edge, of course. He's a chub after all. That's a nice fish. One look at the landing net and he's off. Oh, that's a nice one. Come on, in you come. Got him. Cracking. Well, there we are. That's about that. No monster at all, but very happy. Happy to have had a bite. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. Right, that was very quick, as I often say. It doesn't take long if you're in the right place. So we'll get him down here. We'll try and catch another one out of here. Well, that's a good start in here. We may get another one. We may not. Worth 10 minutes to find out. He's down here in the net. Got this nice deep net. He's got plenty of room in that. Glad I held off striking now. Well, I'm not expectant that we'll have another one, but hopeful. These tiny little rivers, often catching a decent fish out of a swim, puts the others on red alert. Now, we've had a few little rowels in there since, but nothing concrete. We've got another 10 or 15 minutes, so I think that's long enough to have him in that net down there. We'll let him go, give him his freedom. Plenty more swims to try, baited and unbaited. Right, we'll, as I say, we'll get him back. He's well rested. Watch out, back you go. Gone. Cracking. Next up, we've got this lovely slack on the inside here. Nice, comfortable fishing. Hardly any flow and just looks lovely. Prior to the last couple of sessions I'd had down here, this swim hadn't done a fish for me for ages. So much so, I'd stopped fishing it. For a recent high water session, I had a go here, and it did my venue PB. So I've fished it since once more and had another fish of a similar size. Right, let's see what we can do. Let's plop that out there. It's been primed for an hour now, I should think. So hopefully I've hoovered up all the free offerings. Need a bit of bread dropping in there will be just what the doctor ordered. Fingers crossed. I'll be on the lookout. It's just boiling up a bit in here. I'll put the next cast a little bit further down. Just want to find some nice steady water. It's stopped again there. No, it just looks nice and steady. But it just boiled up a minute ago. Fish don't want to sit in boiling water like that, it's too much effort. I'll have a few casts in here though, just inch our way down the swim. Right. That was a little bit of interest. Definitely. And again, and again. Something's it's having a bit of an inquiry. It's kind of difficult to tell. The rod's bouncing about in the wind. There's definitely something going on. I don't want to strike too early. There's definitely something happening. Now, we may have been mugged fishing bread. We'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll have a recast. Alright, we haven't been mugged clearly. This looks like interest from smaller fish though. Well, we have been mugged. It's fairly slack down there looking at the bait left in the feeder. Right, let's try that again. Drop that in the same place as we had some interest. Changed just to the smallest or the lightest feeder in the medium range. It's 20 gram, the one that's on at the moment. Don't need any sort of weight at all really to hold down there, just the minimum. Right. This is smaller fish. This is dace or roach or gudgeon or minnows or something. Just going to check the time. 4:15. All right. This is definitely small fish. Oh! Well, a very rapid bite, but a bite nonetheless. Just about to wind in and move. How have I missed that? That was a proper bite, wasn't it? I've been thinking about moving from here for the last 10 minutes. Every time I think I'm going to move, I get a bite. That's been the most decent fish-like bite. A lot of the other ones have been quite stabby and little rattly bites, which I think were smaller fish, but that looked certainly like a better fish, bite off a better fish. God, did you see that bite? Oh, I know I missed that one because it was The tip was on its way back round when I struck. I think this is a chub being really cute. And I think if I put a size 6 on, I would nail him. But if I put a size 6 on and there's some roach down there, I'll be very annoyed with myself. So I'm not going to. Well, I definitely am starting to get the impression this is a chub. Just testing out the bait. Notice since we've started getting proper bites off what seemed like a decent fish, all the little tappy, rattly bites have stopped. I think all the little fish have cleared off. There we go. Just having a little nibble then. I thought, no, I'm going to hit this time. Tip was just rattling. I thought, yeah, he's nibbling it. Very cagey fish. Assuming it's the same fish all the time. Cool. Just blimey. It's not doing anything. Just trudging around in the flow. Blimey. Now he's decided he wants to get me in the edge. Come on, out. It's a chub. Oh, it's a nice one as well. I think we knew that from the fight. Blimey. It's not exactly scooting around the place. He's got him. Yeah, he was being very, very cagey. Well, this swim's done a fish. It took a while. It's probably been in here half an hour, I should think. Went from those tappy little rattly bites to chubby clangs. Oh, yeah, he's been a bit coy, this one. At that time, I don't know if it will even come out on the camera. The tip was only moving about 10 mil. Did that just a couple of times and stayed round, and I thought, yeah, he's got hold of it. Certainly had. Well, we'll have a look at him. He's a cracker. Just over £3. Certainly looked it. It looks a bit bigger than that, to be honest. I thought he was nearer 3.5, which is why I put him on the scale. So my venue PB is 3.9, but he's not. It's £3.2. It's absolutely cracking fish. Really pleased with that. That's wonderful. He's very recognisable as well. He's got, not sure what's done that. Looks like perhaps a scar off a otter. Apart from that, he's in good condition. Right, we'll give him a rest for a few minutes. We'll have one more cast, I think, but I think it's getting towards time where we make tracks for that pool. But I think it's probably getting towards 5 o'clock. It's going to be dark at just gone 6. Well, I reckon worth another 5 minutes or so. Right, got this fella just resting up down here. Can't imagine he's down there on his own, but once again, you never know. And also, he might have spooked all his mates because he was being very cagey. There's definitely a few spots of rain. Could do without that. I haven't got a coat, as I say. Right, we've given that a bit longer. There's nothing else doing in there, so we'll empty that feeder out. There's a bit of mashed bread left in there. We'll get this fella back and we'll get moved to the swim that we baited up first off. Hopefully we can hunker down in there a bit. Right, thank you very much, chap. That's a cracking scrap. Really, really great scrap off that fish. I thought he was much bigger than that. There he goes. Right, let's get up to the last swim. No, that's it. Absolutely nothing doing in there at all. Absolutely nothing. I fished this pool for about an hour and a quarter, which is about an hour longer than I would normally give a swim. But that was the plan today. I don't think I've even had a tap. It was difficult to tell when the rod was bouncing around in the wind, but certainly nothing that I can say that was a bite. It's been very, very quiet in here. I say it's a little bit too low, really. 20, 30 centimetres higher, I think the fish would be over in that slack over there, and we'd have had some bites. I'm not surprised we haven't caught a roach. I generally catch one big roach a year off this river, and we've had one a few weeks ago, so that's not a surprise at all. I am surprised we've not had any chub bites in this swim. It's usually good for a bite off a chub over there, but nothing doing at all. And I've fished the whole pool. I've fished the slack to our left. I've fished that slack over there for at least half an hour, 40 minutes. I've fished the tail down here as well. Absolutely nothing doing. But we've had a couple of nice chub out in that chublet as well, so certainly worth coming out. And I'm definitely going to get back to this river. Now, hopefully conditions will be right to get back down here and have another go for a big roach before the end of the season. We've only got a week and a half to go, or thereabouts. Hopefully this river will come up again, be at the right height, be the right colour, and we'll have an overcast day and we'll have another crack. But we'll try something perhaps a bit different next time we're out. Hopefully we can get down the Avon soon. It's still very high and very brown. A couple of more tributaries I'm looking to have a go at as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Tight lines, enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support. And I'll see you again very soon.